The explosion emanating from Fred's room, where Xenia was being held captive after being caught sneaking into the Royal Council of Sorcery's office, left Lim incapacitated due to the direct impact. This allowed Xenia an opportunity to escape easily. However, her compassion for Lim, who lay sprawled in pain, and the fact that Lim had aided her when she was detained by Fred, compelled her to carry Lim away from the scene. Outside the building, a multitude of police officers and reporters were swarming the area, making it difficult for her to make a clean getaway. Meanwhile, Max, who had been idling around, was suddenly approached by the Demon King upon hearing news of the explosion at the Royal Council of Sorcery's office. The Demon King appeared concerned that Fred might have been affected by the blast. However, Max, who knew Fred well, was confident that Fred wouldn't be so easily harmed by such an explosion. The Demon King had instructed Xenia to infiltrate the Sorcery Council's office, which raised Max's suspicion that the explosion might have originated from Xenia herself. The Demon King was perplexed by Max's statement, as she knew that Xenia couldn't use magic, so she had merely tasked her with investigating directly. However, in reality, Xenia had been caught red-handed by Fred. Max eventually came to believe that Xenia was not capable of carrying out a bombing to terrorize the Sorcery Council's office due to her apparent lack of cunning. Not wanting to delve further into the news, Max suggested switching to a different channel. Max's bedroom door opened as Xenia returned with Lim and the items she had retrieved from the Sorcery Council's office. Lim finally regained consciousness after being unconscious for a while due to the explosion. She realized that she wasn't in the Sorcery Council's office, but inside Max's house. The Demon King, who had disguised herself as a high school girl, observed Lim's awakening. She promptly prepared a meal for Lim as it was dinner time. Lim, noticing the Demon King's sexy attire, grew suspicious and inquired about who had bandaged her head. The Demon King confessed that she had been the one to bandage Lim's head, though Xenia had actually done it. Lim declined the meal, stating that she needed to return to the Sorcery Council's office. The Demon King insisted that she stay for a while and even tried to persuade her to become her subordinate, on the condition that she leave Fred. This offer was similar to the one she had extended to Max, which Max had promptly rejected by tapping the Demon King's head with a frying pan. The Demon King became angry with Max for that, considering it domestic violence. Max, Xenia, and the Demon King apologized for the incident that had befallen Lim at the Sorcery Council's office. While the Demon King had instructed Xenia to infiltrate, Xenia took full responsibility for her actions and was prepared to accept punishment. The Demon King pleaded not to punish Xenia for her mistake in giving instructions and urged not to involve Max in the matter, as he was unaware of the situation. Lim then inquired about the demon clans residing in Max's house, and as Max began to explain, the Demon King pretended by stating that the Demon King had already perished and some surviving demon clans had become vagabonds, struggling to find food to survive. They expressed remorse for causing trouble to humans and believed they deserved the karma they faced. Max and Xenia agreed that the Demon King was a superb actress. The Demon King mentioned that it was Max, the hero, who had shown them mercy after losing their master 10 years ago. It was evident that she harbored deep resentment towards them and had no obligation to help. Thanks to Max's compassion, they could live and seek redemption to live like ordinary humans. The excellent acting skills of the Demon King made Lim understand the overall situation and what they were dealing with. Max was actually quite disgusted by the Demon King's acting, but perhaps Lim, being a very understanding woman, would comprehend. Xenia handed over Lim's smartphone, which had been constantly ringing during her unconsciousness. It turned out that Fred had been calling because Lim wasn't in Fred's room, and he was inquiring about her whereabouts. At Lim's suggestion, Fred checked her phone, and Max advised Lim to be honest with Fred about her current location, which was Max's house. Fred, irritated with Max, instructed Lim to hand the phone to Max so he could hear Max's explanation. Max explained that he did indeed have dealings with the demon clans, but they were not responsible for the explosion at the Sorcery Council's office. Fred found it hard to believe and insisted on meeting them at his favorite restaurant, promising to send his assistant to pick them up. After finishing the call with Lim, Fred received a call from the ghost in Max's house, which frightened him. The fire brigade team, which had entered the vicinity near Fred's room, cautioned other members to be careful. However, when they entered the room, they saw Fred lying there, scared due to the ghost, and immediately provided assistance, thinking he had been injured by the building's debris. The meeting of the 9 ministers from the Kingdom of Beskar began in the government office building. 4th Minister Reinhard mentioned that it was indeed a disaster. 3rd Minister Greaves had almost become involved in the case, causing 6th Minister Hayward to be thankful that Greaves was unharmed. 1st Minister Franca stated that it was the actions of the other ministers in expelling Leo from the kingdom that had led to all of this and had given reason for conflict. 8th Minister Menahurdo remarked that now was not the time to discuss that matter, but to address the terrorists from Republic Gamma who had launched an attack due to the crisis in their country. 5th Minister Zeman tried to calm the increasingly tense meeting, prompting 2nd Minister Trivelin to inquire how to do that, whether by submission and admission. 9th Minister George conveyed that the kingdom's forces would not hesitate to engage in battle, solely to assert their claim to the territory and minimize casualties. However, if the kingdom were to seriously confront Republic Gamma, Leo would be earnest about destroying the kingdom, causing significant losses, and he did not want his subordinates to die. Cezak, who spoke candidly because the kingdom's military strength clearly could not match Republic Gamma's, knew the stark difference, which angered Menahurdo upon hearing Cezak's opinion. Reinhard then suggested the option of inciting Fred by instructing Greaves to do so for the sake of the kingdom, which would make him deeply troubled and unlucky due to his proximity to Fred. Max and the Demon King had arrived at Fred's favorite restaurant, where the Demon King knew it was an upscale place and took the initiative to shave Max's mustache and beard to make him look neater and more dignified because she was afraid of him looking like a homeless person. Since Fred had already ordered food for Max and the Demon King, he immediately invited them to dine together, as it had been a long time since he had eaten with Max. In reality, Fred just wanted to know about the demon clans living with Max, so he didn't intend to delve further into the explosion case at the Sorcery Council's office. Moreover, Xenia had infiltrated the Sorcery Council's office, leaving many obvious traces, which seemed foolish for an infiltrator. It would also be illogical for Xenia to set a bomb in Fred's room because he had held her there with his hands in shackles, and Xenia couldn't use magic herself. Max, who had calmed down due to this misunderstanding, hurried to return home, but Fred stopped Max because he wanted to know more about the demon clans living with him. Since Max didn't want to get involved, he instructed the Demon King to accompany Fred for the night, as it was her subordinates' actions that had infiltrated the Sorcery Council's office, and it should be her responsibility. Fred, regretting Max's unwise words, asked if it was appropriate for a hero to speak like that. Since Fred wanted to discuss something more serious, he told the Demon King and Max, who were arguing, to sit down. Republic Gamma's overt attack on the Sorcery Council's office prompted the kingdom to act in concert with Fred. Max's solution was to join the kingdom and defeat Republic Gamma, and the matter would be resolved easily. However, if Max declined Fred's invitation, he would automatically accuse Max and the demon clans of carrying out the explosion, creating false accusations to have Max expelled from the kingdom. Max, unaffected by Fred's ultimatum, threatened in return that he would join Republic Gamma because he could relax and soak in hot springs as he pleased, and the abundant demon clan mines there would make him rich easily. Fred, angered by this threat, countered Max's statement to make him join the kingdom and regain his honor as a hero. However, Max still didn't want to because he saw no reason for the kingdoms to attack each other while he had no involvement in the matter. Fred, still adamant, believed that with Max, the conflict between nations that was unnecessary could be easily resolved because Max didn't understand politics. Max would let the foolish kingdom parties kill each other due to their unnecessary feud. As the argument heated up and approached a fight, the Demon King, in anger, confused Fred with the demon woman accompanying him. To prevent the Demon King's identity from being exposed, Max decided to go home and asked Fred to pay for all their food since he had paid with taxpayers' money. When they returned home, Max suddenly felt stomach pain, causing the Demon King to panic. However, it turned out that the sake given to Max had been mixed with a laxative by Fred, causing him to experience painful diarrhea. On the other hand, Republic Gamma, upon hearing the news that they were accused of causing the explosion, made Leo take action because they hadn't done it, and they intentionally provoked the commotion to be able to declare war because Leo's subordinates would not do such a vile thing.